What? Shaken. It's your boy, Marc Cordon, Golden Mike, episode 85 with Aimee Tariq. Aimee, do you know why we have 85? You know why we've done 85 episodes?
I had no idea. That is amazing. And you're so enthusiastic. It is contagious.
It's all a ruse. I get off and I have tears. I cry the whole day afterwards. But do you know why we've done 85 episodes?
No, tell me.
Because you cannot cancel me. I produce this. You can't cancel me. I have optimal health. Aimee's going to be talking about something that's pretty amazing. Aimee is the #1 best-selling author, a book called A Life with Health. You can find it now. She's been featured in Forbes, USA Today, Huffington Post. The book is floating around, and while you are featured on the Golden Mike Live, you have lived a full life. Congratulations, Aimee. And we're going to talk about this today. When it comes to a fundamental career step, 99% of Americans forget this step. So if you are in a place right now where you're thinking of making a pivot, if you're thinking of making a career step, you're going to want to stick around and you're going to want to hear what our best-selling author, Aimee Tariq, has to say about it. Hold that book up one more time.
Oh, I'd love to.
Who did the graphics on that thing?
Gab. His name is Gab. He's a good friend of ours. He is brilliant.
I absolutely love that thing. So
I'll have to give you his contact.
So for those of you who have not met me, my name is Marc Cordon. I'm the founder of the Make Money Coaching Program, which is kicking ass and taking names. You want to know what else is kicking ass and taking names? The Joy Revolution, which is in its second week. I'm also the founder of that. But more importantly, I'm a positive psychology coach, which means two things. #1, you got out of bed today. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you feeling? Just emotion-wise, how happy are you feeling? #2, you got out of bed today. Scale out of 1 to 10, how much purpose do you feel like you're living in? If you're like a 10 on both, you don't need me, baby. Live your life. You don't need a positive psychology coach. You're flourishing. So, Aimee Tariq, I'm going to ask you this right now. And it's a double-barreled question. I know you're super smart. You're an author, so don't call me out for this. But are you feeling good and living in your full purpose today?
I am, yes.
Oh, you're so chill. I am. Yeah, well, she is. If those of you who are watching live or the replay are living in your full purpose and you're living happily today, there's a button down there. It's the hearts. Aimee, how do you beat your heart down? Or actually, it's around the corner from me in Orlando. Oh, yeah, that's how we do it, Florida style right here. Hit those hearts if you're feeling the love today. Yep, we see you. We see you. I see you. So here's the other thing. A lot of people think that positive psychology is about the shits and the giggles, and it's Taco Tuesday 24/7, and you're happy 24/7. Joy Revolution, people, we were talking about this last night. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. Life is about the ups and the downs and the all arounds, right? So like, if you woke up today and you're like, you know what? Like, I'm not as happy as I was the day before, and I don't know why. Or if you're waking up and you're like, man, I've been in this career and it's been serving me full purpose for 30 years. And like, all of a sudden my purpose is changing and I don't know why. And I don't know what my next career step is going to be. It's all right to be out of purpose for a little bit. Your heart beats just like Aimee and mine. Like, you are on your hero's journey. So like, if you are on your hero's journey, you don't feel like you're flourishing today. You don't feel like you're a 10 out of 10. Enjoy the show. Give us a thumbs up on the live or the replay. Just let us know you are alive, okay? Now, this is the last thing. This is the reason why I do what I do, and it's because of hope. It's because of optimism. And so for those of you, whether you're a 1 or you're a 10 on that scale I just gave, whether you're 1 or a 10, if you feel optimistic that no matter where you are today, tomorrow is going to be even better because you're learning from today, there's another button down there. Aimee, There's another button down there, Aimee.
Tell me the button.
What is the button? Tell me the button. I want everybody to start moving their cursors to this button. It is the wow face. Aimee, I want you to make a wow face with me. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That is the wow face. If you're feeling optimistic about tomorrow, hit the wow face. Thank you very much, Melissa. It's good to see you. Melissa's got the heart going on. She's flourishing today. It is good to see you, Melissa. Stick around the show. We're going to be talking about the fact that 99% of Americans forget this one career step. 99% of people forget it. So given all that, given that intro, Aimee, I just want to know your story.
Oh, my story. Well, it's not finished yet. Nobody's is, but
Nice.
I will start with some background information. So in high school, I was a senior and I was a cheerleader. I was president of every club. By the time I was a senior, I'd already finished all of my high school credits. I was an overachiever in every way. I'd done a lot of volunteer and community service. I had received so many awards, over $1 million in scholarships and several free rides. I could go to any college I wanted. Now I have to say this because I want to make a point. So I never drank, I never did drugs. All I did was work really hard. So on the outside, it seemed like my life was perfect. And it was. I felt like I worked very hard for all of these things. And it was perfect on the outside, but then one night, everything changed. So one night as I tried to fall asleep after a long day of school and work, because I did all of that and I also worked as well, I felt my heart beating really, really hard and really fast. It was so hard, it was hurting my ribs. So my whole chest was shaking. Finally, we called 911. It wasn't getting better. And that was the first time that I rode in an ambulance. And unfortunately, it wasn't my last. It was the start of a several-year health journey, and it was scary. So for years, I struggled. My heart rate stayed so high, like over 200 beats per minute. Now, if anybody knows anything about if anybody knows anything about heart rates, they're supposed to be closer to the 70s, definitely not in the 200s. So, it was like that at all times. I could be laying down doing nothing and it was always that high. I couldn't brush my own teeth. I couldn't brush my own hair. I couldn't even have a simple conversation. I felt so trapped within my body because here I was, a star athlete, somebody who was used to being independent. I had already traveled and everything all by myself. I was so independent. And then I come back and I could no longer be that independent person. That was really hard. And I got to see firsthand how people treat the star athlete versus how they treat somebody disabled. And you know what? It did break my heart because disabled people, they really are treated differently. And so, and not differently in a good way. And so I saw the worst of humanity. But at the same time, I also saw the best. I saw all of the love. You know, there were people there were terrible, terrible people who would do terrible things to me because they saw that I was weak and they saw that they could get away with it in that moment. But then you had the angels and the saints who love unconditionally and who bring healing everywhere they go. Like those people are etched in my mind forever for how they treated me and how good they were to me during this time. So I focused on the love, but I was in that limbo and I wasn't dead and I wasn't alive. And eventually I realized I'm not really getting better. I was going to all of these doctors. They didn't know what was up. They just said, you know, some people are just sick. It just happens. And I was like, no, I don't accept that answer. I don't believe there is no cause or reason for this. There is a reason. And obviously, if I'm not dead, there's a reason I'm not dead. So I gave God and myself an ultimatum. And I don't recommend this, but I'm a brat, so I did it.
I gave God an ultimatum.
Yes, I really did. And I'm a big brat, and that's just how I am. So I said, God, look, I'm not dead. but I'm not alive. I'm not going to deal with this. So you choose one or the other. Either I get back to being healthy exactly how I was or better, or you kill me now. I'm not going to do this in between thing. Okay. I'm just not. So I gave God and myself that ultimatum. I was like, look, this in between thing isn't working. So as I kept going, I was like, well, I'm not dying. Well, honestly, I have no choice but to do whatever it takes to get better. Because it's going to be like 70 years of living in this limbo before I die. And that's not okay with me. And so,
oh, wow.
Yes. And so I watched myself lose muscle because I was very muscular. I lost myself, lose weight, and there was nothing I could do. So yeah, I watched myself go from a superstar athlete to somebody who couldn't even brush her own hair. And I decided, yes, this sucks, but obviously there was a deeper reason I was going through this. And I needed to make the most of my situation, even with my immobility.
So you were completely bedridden.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And everybody around me said that. Everybody around me at that time said that it was a choice I was making, that I wanted to be bedridden. So that was difficult for me because that was the least thing I wanted to do. And I see that happening to a lot of women, especially.
What do they mean? There was like some sort of mindset that you, like a defeatist mindset?
That I was making my heart rate beat fast, which is crazy because I did some research. And the only person who was able to make their heart rate go to 200 beats per minute willfully was Gandhi. So I was like, I don't know if that's a compliment or.
There you go.
I was like, only Gandhi's able to do that. What are you saying?
Well, that's why you could make ultimatums with God.
I'm such a brat.
My heart rate beat fast, God. Okay, so seriously, I mean, here you are, one step of your life, you're crushing it, right? You're crushing everything. You're from athletics to getting over $1 million in scholarship. The next, I don't know about the next minute, but we jump forward. Right. You're bedridden. You can't brush your hair even, and some people are accusing you that this is a mindset issue. You're wanting this on yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I was just so upset. So I began learning everything I could about health, and it was like navigating through a minefield because one mistake could lead to my cardiac arrest. All of these doctors, they were prescribing me lifelong medications that had serious side effects. And I was like, this isn't working for me. So I made everything in my life organic and wholesome. I did everything toxic free. I bought the best water filter. I got an organic mattress, organic food. And then I just tried to detox as much as I could. And I was so overwhelmed thinking that maybe they were right, maybe it was a mindset, that I also completely delved into mindset. And previously I was already with a school counselor, seeing her regularly just because I like to talk. And so she already knew me before I got sick, and she knew me after I got sick. And I'm so glad I did that. So anybody, if you get free counselors at school or in college, just do it regardless. Mm-hmm. I think it's just a good thing for you to do regardless, because if I hadn't done that, even though I was okay, whenever something wasn't okay, she wouldn't have been there to tell me, look, I know you, Aimee. What they're saying isn't true. I know you. And I'm so grateful I had her there to tell me, look, this isn't your fault. I know you. And so it helps a lot to have somebody there saying, I know who you are, and what they're saying isn't who you are. And so that's really important.
What do you, so in terms of you, when you were talking to her, what do you think it would have been like if you didn't have a support system like her at the time?
She was my only support system. So it would have been, I don't know. I don't know what would have happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think about support systems, and like, they are the big reasons why we don't go fucking crazy and bonkers oftentimes,
Absolutely.
because like I'm
Yes.
thinking about people that don't know you, that are telling you
Yeah.
that this is a mindset thing, and they're, you know, I don't know about you, but like when it comes to like people who have been studying medicine for a while and stuff, I have
Right.
a certain amount of respect for that, right?
Absolutely.
But then ultimately, like them telling you that it's a mindset thing must have been unnerving for you. Where you were either like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with me, or they are so wrong.
It was a mixture of both. So I'm always a
Yeah,
person who's able to look at myself. You know, it's a part of a team as an athlete. Like if you
yeah,
don't want to bring the whole team down, you have to look at yourself and see what you're doing wrong so that the whole team succeeds. So I'm very good at that. So whenever, you know, I would think to myself, like, is it me? Is it a mindset? Is it somehow, am I somehow sabotaging my life? Am I
yeah,
somehow, so I would ask myself those questions and I'd be like, no. And also I've been going to a counselor for my whole high
yeah,
school experience. Like, and they didn't notice, she didn't notice any sabotaging thoughts. She didn't notice any, because I just didn't have those. And so it was hard being with the doctors and and telling them, look, I've been with a counselor all of these years. Like I didn't just start going. I went because I know how valuable it is. And
right.
so I'm already there, and there's nothing wrong with my mindset. There's just nothing wrong. And yeah, they just, I think that because this was outside of their realm and outside of what they were taught, they didn't know how to
Yeah.
handle it appropriately. So they
Okay.
just, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they
So,
did.
okay, so here you are, you're beginning to get, what I'm hearing is that you're getting proactive about your health. Like, okay, at first people are telling you what you are, what you're doing, what you're going through. Then you're starting to say, well, you know what? I'm going to be proactive about things. I'm going to start, here's some medication with some serious ass side effects. Then all of a sudden I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting into being proactive with my counselor. I'm gonna make sure that, I'm going sort of on the health wise tip. I'm being mindful of what I'm putting into my body. What were you seeing that was beginning to happen?
It took it took a while because it was a big learning curve. So I had to learn what health looked like and what health was. And a lot of
Mm,
things of what other people say health is, like cereal and milk every morning, that's not healthy. So it was really learning what health truly was. And so I bet a lot of people here still think, oh, cereal and milk, that's great. Like my special K, awesome. No. so, so that took a while. That took a long time. And so once I actually got to the place where I actually knew what health was, that's whenever everything started fixing.
so what did health become after, like, you're like, it ain't the cereals and milk in the morning, it ain't my Rice Krispies. Like what did that become for you?
That's a beautiful question. For each person, it's so different because we each have such a different body. Like our fingertips are very unique, but what's more unique is our whole genetic system, our whole
Mm,
microbiome. Our microbiome is
mhm.
more unique than our fingertips because each and every one of those microorganisms in our microbiome has its own genetic information. And
It's
so,
so wild. It's
yeah,
like a
it's
little
like,
univers in there,
it
right?
is, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And
Look at you
so,
nerding out about the microbiome.
I'm so happy with them. I'm like, you guys are so cool. Nobody knows about you. But so health for each person is so differently. What I found recently is that I was actually an undiagnosed celiac. That's why my heart rate was so high. My body has just, it was just giving up because it was so many years of being an undiagnosed celiac. And so
Okay.
my immune system was out. I'm still recovering from my immune system. And right now my immune system is still lower than average because they have tests for that. So that's still recovering. But my immune system was completely out. yeah, my body it was just overwhelmed by that. So for me specifically, I was an undiagnosed celiac. For other people, it could be the same.
And celiac disease is an
Oh, yeah.
autoimmune, right?
Basically, it means that you are allergic to wheat and gluten. I don't know why they call it gluten, but for me, it's basically wheat and anything that touches wheat. So I'm very, very allergic to modern day wheat. Now, the reason why is because that was my husband. Modern day
Aimee.
modern day wheat is it's not the same as the wheat that we had originally. So we adapted throughout these years, and then this wheat didn't adapt with us. It was just like created by I don't know what, by scientists, I guess. And so we have not adapted to that wheat, but maybe back in the day, like if my body was like thousands of years ago, I might have been able to tolerate that wheat. But as the wheat that we have now, that we have access to now, I am completely allergic. It completely disrupts my whole system. And
Aimee, get out of the shot.
This man. Can you leave the room?
It's good to see you, brother. He can stay. He can lay there if he wants.
It's distracting me. I can't deal with it. Those are my very expensive pet beds for my cats that they don't use. Okay. But Imran and I use them.
Okay. I was like, what's going on? Your husband is laying in a bed in the middle. I was like, it's not that type of show, people. It's not that type of show.
It's too much. That was our midpoint entertainment.
Yes, exactly. Well, in terms of midpoints, I've got a couple of people who are lighting up in terms of what you're saying here. Oh, we got our boy Kojo, who's just jumping in. What's the context of the mindset? What are the doctors labeling you with? Like, what was the mindset thing that they were talking about? I think he wants to know a little bit more about that.
Well, it happens to a lot of women. So for example, when a lot of women are ill and they go to the doctors, unfortunately, a lot of doctors think that they're overreacting. That's why PCOS, which is I can't even say it, but PCO, that's why a lot of the problems that women are facing, which is like PCOS is basically like really terrible menstrual cramps that can really like ruin a woman's life.
Polycystic ovary syndrome?
Yes.
Okay.
You said it perfectly. And so that's why things like that, women aren't diagnosed with it until they're like, it's just too much. Yes. Yep. Yes. Because women are always told you're over exaggerating. This is all in your head. Like that's what they're always told, unfortunately, with a lot of doctors in the medical field. And so basically the mindset was just the fact that I was a woman. If I was a male, I probably would have been taken more seriously, which is just how it is. It's just, I don't hold resentment. It's just, it's just how, for whatever reason, that's how things are right now. So a lot of women have a lot harder time finding a diagnosis than males do. So that's one aspect.
That is wild.
The other aspect, yes, and nobody here has to believe me. You can just go Google it, type it in, and you'll see. But the other aspect of the mindset was that they didn't really have a mindset context. They were just like, oh, you're just making yourself sick because we can't find what's wrong with you. And that was
if it doesn't show up in the test, then it's your problem.
And I want to make this clear. Not all doctors are like this. This was just my luck. So, so I went to the point where I just got, I just decided to stop going to doctors until I went to Florida and I found wonderful. Now I have like a huge network of really great, and I don't call them doctors. They're doctors, but I call them healers because there's a difference. You can be a doctor, but you're not necessarily a healer. These are healers. So I have many healers in my life now. But yeah, that was that.
Awesome. Thanks, Kojo. Thanks for jumping in there. Jorge, oh my gosh, Jorge, you broke the streak. We missed you. you're back. It's good to see you. Why do you not say hi to my guest all the way from Puerto Rico? Jorge, I'm already mad at you, but I missed you. It's good to see you back. Pamela Gray's loving what's going down. It's good to see you, Pamela. Thanks for the hearts. Pamela. Kojo's got some stuff going on. Kojo, also undiagnosed celiac till he was 28. His motto was, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired."
Did that exactly how I felt, Cody? That's exactly how I felt. And like I even like you saying that, like I had flashbacks of me literally saying those words. Like, I am so tired of being sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, Cody was just backing up with some autoimmune. Sarah, yes, I have no idea what that came from. Was it from the PCOS, Sarah? I'm not sure. Definitely let us know what's going on. Dude, you've lit up Kojo today. I've experienced that before when seeing people advocate for care. I was told men usually, right? So he's seen that before.
Usually, yeah, exactly. Men usually don't go to the doctors, which is sad. Yeah, which is a problem.
Whole other thing, right? Don't go to the doctor. So, it's moving quickly here. You got a lot of people jumping in right now. Don't go to the doctor. So when they do, they are actually sick versus females who are emotional and sensitive. So there's all these sort of ideas around the way that we utilize healthcare, and
more women die from heart attacks than men.
No shit.
Yeah, heart disease is the #1 killer in women. So there's a lot of issues there.
No shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of health, flu. Get better, brother. But you still didn't say hi to my guest. So you better start changing things around. You got a couple more minutes to change that around. Sarah's tuning in. Doctors often think we're over exaggerating. I've been blessed with amazing doctors who listen to me and believe me, though. And so I think that's what you were talking about when you were talking about healers and doctors, like people who are listening to what you have going on versus like maybe just kind of using their phone to diagnose you and tell you what symptoms you have, and then when it goes off the phone, like they don't know what to say. Sorry to cut you off.
One doctor who believed in me, and I love him to death. He's like a dad to me, and he's known me since I was 2 years old. So he was my whole life doctor. That's what I call him. And he always believed in me and always tried to help me find the ways to go. And so that helped me a lot that I had him through there, because like he's known me since I was little. He knew what kind of person I was, and he loved me to death. Like he loved me like I was one of his kids, honestly.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky to have that as well.
Yeah, and Sarah's feeling what you're saying about the healers as well, Aimee. So amazing. So here we are again. We're on the road to recovery. You still are recovering in terms of your immune system from all those years of undiagnosed celiac, right? But here you are right now and talking about like sort of that 99% of people don't do when it comes to their careers. So I have a feeling it has to do with health.
Absolutely.
Okay, because I'm like, if not, I am so fucked because I have no segue.
Surprise!
Okay. Surprise! So talk to me. What's going on with that? With that 99% of what we don't do?
Yeah, health is a fundamental block in your career. For example, if you don't sleep enough, if you don't get the nutrients that you need, if you're not aware of how getting sufficient amount of movement in your life affects your productivity, affects how efficient you are, and affects how you, it even affects your perspective on the world. So knowing, you need to acknowledge that what you eat and how you care for yourself affects how you do business. So if you're eating McDonald's 3 times a day, you're probably not as efficient and productive as you could be. I'm not saying you're not efficient or productive. I'm saying imagine how much more you could be if you took care of yourself.
Absolutely. And I think another way that it runs is like, so I started my full-time business as an entrepreneur 2 years ago. And I'm glad that you're on today, because this weekend was the first weekend I actually took 3 days off. And like the first 6 hours were like complete. Yeah, it was like anxiety ridden. Like I felt like I needed to be doing something. And then my partner took me out for a massage, and it was over. Like after that, I was like, oh,
I love massages. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's over. It is totally over. Yeah. But I think that idea of health and self-care, what you put into your body, if you want to treat people like gold, you need to treat yourself like gold. You know, like those sort of things are absolutely and quintessentially priorities. Now, I just wanted to throw out there, how do you guys who are watching define health? I know for me, I just go right off the World Health Organization. Health is not about the absence of disease. Just because I'm not diagnosed sick today doesn't mean that I'm healthy. It doesn't mean that I'm well. It means the presence of wellness. That's why I do positive psychology work. And so I think for everybody, we have to start with what our definition of health is, you know, because for me, it's not enough for me to be not sick. I have to be at optimal performance when it comes to the way that I treat my body. And I'm not there yet. You know, when I get stressed, I want a cookie. You know, that's just the way that my body goes. I got a sugar addiction, you know? So like, I just wanted to throw that out there. I didn't mean to cut you off, but let's say that, you know, that 99% of us, that 100% of us who are not thinking about health. Now, when we want to start taking a shift to promoting our health, where do we start?
It's so beautiful what you said. I want to touch back on that as well, because what you said definitely applies to optimal psychology as well. Yes, I wasn't sick psychologically, but I still went to the counselor, and I'm so glad I did. And even right now, you don't have to be depressed or anxious or have any issues to optimize yourself psychologically. Like it's just so great to see somebody who tunes it up like a car, you know, keeps it tuned up, keeps it great, keeps it running smoothly. So yeah, go see him. But
that is such a good thing, because in so many ways, like, even though there's some messed up parts from what I've talked to people about when it comes to sort of the dental, you know, oral health care and stuff like that, we are proactive about it. You know, we go for our root maintenance and checkup when it comes to our teeth, right? Hopefully it'll start moving in that way where we're doing it for all aspects of our body, you know, our health, our body, our spirit, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that you brought that up. That is going to be a gem that I'm going to put on the quote machine. So thank you. But where do we start? Do we start with, you know, do we start with doing a full-on shift and just changing everything, and just going extreme, just going down a list, out, cut it out? Or is there a place that we can start, like mind, body, spirit? Like,
it depends on who you are as a person. Most people, they choose unhealthy foods because they have an addiction. So if it comes from an addiction, like you're going to McDonald's regularly because you're addicted to McDonald's, then you have to cut it out completely. Just like an alcoholic has to cut out alcohol completely. If it's an addiction, cut it out completely. Now, if it's not an addiction and you can handle, and this is where it gets tricky, because you have to be brutally honest with yourself, because a lot of people, they don't want to admit it's an addiction. So you have to be honest with yourself. So if you don't know, then maybe cut it out anyways and see what happens. But for example, last week I was actually sick with the flu because there was a woman by me on the plane who was who had the flu. So then I got the flu because my immunity isn't good. But
I think the woman by you on the plane was Jorge.
Yes. So,
Jorge is carrier X.
luckily, I always travel with Manuka honey. If you don't know what it is, Google it, and some ginger tea. So I was good. But when I came home, the first thing I did, because whenever you have the flu, you don't feel like eating. So I made my caldo, my soup, and I made myself 2 cookies. So because it comforts me, but I know that I'm not going to make myself like the whole thing of cookies, because otherwise I'll eat them all. And so I know that about myself. I'll just make 2 and then I'll eat the 2 and you have to know that about yourself, and you have to be honest. And for example, my cookies, they're gluten-free, and they're sugar, right? It has sugar, so it's not like healthy, but it's not disease inducing for me. But I wouldn't eat those. I don't eat 2 cookies every day. That was, you know what I mean? So you have to know with yourself, like with me, when I tell people, like, I want to make something that sticks. I don't want you to say, wow, I can't ever have a cookie again in my whole life. What?
Right. The whole idea of deprivation, right?
That's so sad. I don't want you to miss out on cookies.
That isn't living either. God.
So sad, right? Exactly.
So will you negotiate again with God too? Like,
I did.
I want at least 2 gluten-free cookies, God.
I did, because I'm a brat.
You're a total brat, and I love it. I love it. Cody's activated. I just wanted to throw you what Cody's got an idea of what health is, and if you don't mind, Aimee, I'm going to throw it in there. I think health is not about the absence or discomfort or illness or injury, but it's about learning to adapt and flourish with the condition to still have joy. That is actually the definition of flourishing, is that you can completely be at your full capacity despite wherever you're at. Any comments on that?
I'll comment. You know what? That just clicked with me, because I just realized something about myself. Like, yes, I have celiacs, but I never thought of it as a disease, which is interesting, because everybody talks about it as a diagnosis, as a disease. But his comment just made me realize I never think of it as a disease. For me, it just means, oh, I just don't eat wheat and I feel better. Like, for me, it's not like a disease at all. Like, I didn't even like make that. So yeah, for me, it doesn't feel like a condition. It doesn't feel like anything. It's just like I have brown hair, and I can't eat wheat. No big deal.
Sure. This might be TMI, but it's my microbiome going on here, right? Like, Daddy can't eat too much ice cream, right? I got the little lactose intolerance going on, right? And that's the same thing. It's the same thing. I don't consider it lactose intolerance disease.
Yeah.
Like, I can eat ice cream. There's just repercussions to it.
Terrible repercussions.
That damn microbiome. So here's another thing that Cody's throwing in. Cody, you're on fire. Thanks for participating with us today. He's talking about starting his health with mindset work, so that will pull you through the physical ailments. And then taking that even further, my biggest struggle was getting my mindset wrapped around not being a victim and starting to advocate for my own health care. How does that mesh up with some of the ways that you think or you feel like promoting health starts? Because you definitely said it starts, well, it depends. Like, if you're addicted to something, cut that shit out.
Yeah.
But like, also for folks who are just, they've just got the news, like, what you've been doing, you got to change your lifestyle up. Yeah. Does it start with mindset for you?
I think it did start with mindset for me, because first, before I decided to just delve into health myself and not depend on those other people who weren't helping me, I had gone through my mindset. I'd looked at myself. I was like, what is it that I'm doing? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? Do I want to stay in this place, or do I want to be be the healthy person I know I can be. And so that all is a mindset. So unfortunately, there are a lot of people who just give up and say, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to be sick forever, I guess I'm just not going to be able to do anything ever, which is so sad, because if you look like paraplegics, you know, they still get up and they still do what they love every day, even though, you know, they're like, it's incredibly difficult to do that. Yep. And yet they still do it. So,
absolutely.
So just mindset is just such a big thing, because how much of it are you going to take? And what are you going to allow to dictate your life and your circumstance and your environment and what it is you're going to do? And so fight for your right to live, your purpose.
Fight for your right to live.
Yes.
Gojo's actually throwing out some of the things in terms of some of the stigmas that he's found out there. It's uncomfortable for him to go out and eat and ask about gluten options. It's annoying to get labeled as a gluten-free hipster when it's really for him a disease. He found himself not going out with friends, etc., because of the shame. So I'm seeing your head like bopping up and down. Yeah, Aimee, like you felt the same thing, or like what's going on in your?
Absolutely. I mean, like, I'm basically a basic white bitch, right? So when people see me, that's what they see. So whenever they hear gluten-free, it's like, oh, really? This girl? Another one? so that's their reaction. And a lot, like, I've had situations where they do not give me gluten-free. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I do not choose to be like this.
It's not a hipster
like, this wasn't my choice. It's just how it is. And so, it is annoying. Fortunately, in Orlando, Disney Central, everywhere and everything has gluten-free options because of Disney. And so in Orlando, easiest place. In Indiana, where I was in Indiana, I don't think they know what gluten-free is. So I don't think that's like even a thing over there. But there are going to be places where you can't eat out. So there are going to be states and cities where they just don't get it and they're behind and they don't get it and they're not going to get it. And that's not your responsibility. So don't worry about it. But unfortunately, it does suck.
Now, do you still ever feel the need, like, do you ever still feel that stigma? Like,
all the time,
maybe because I know that you and Aimee, like you and your husband are always out. You guys are always partying with the rock stars. Like, do you think twice? Like, are you like, oh, they're going to think that I'm like this, like.
I've just accepted it. I'm like, okay. Like, I just put on my sunglasses, like, yeah, I am that bitch.
Oh, nice! I'm that bitch.
So
I negotiated with God, motherfuckers.
But yeah, I have to say he is so right on, because in the beginning, like, it was really hard. And actually, like, my doctor, she's a good friend of mine. So she would go out with me before I knew how to order for myself and do all of that with myself. She would go out with me, right? And she would order gluten-free with me, and she would be like the bitch to them so that they would know. And so then, like, I seen her do that. I was like, oh, I see her do that, so I can do that, and I can just accept it and be this way, and I can be that bitch. So it was so great. If it wasn't for her, it would have taken me a lot. Yeah. If it wasn't for her, it would have taken me much, much longer to get comfortable, because I'm very, I'm actually like, I'm a really shy person. I know I don't look that way right now, but if we were to meet like one-on-one, I let my husband do most of the talking. People think, oh, it's because, you know, you're submissive or weak or whatever. It's just because I don't have a need. And so,
Aimee's a talkative dude. Yes. Go watch the old episode. Go watch a former episode with Aimee on it. He talks. The boy talks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually a pretty shy person. So it was really hard for me, but learning how to advocate for myself in that actually helps me, like, speak up regularly every day anyways, because
nice.
Yes. And so it helped me with a lot of things. And so I'm in a lot of ways, I'm glad that I had celiac, because now I know, like, I can definitely just, like, do what I need to do for me and not care about what other people think, because for me it's life or death. So
Yep. And that's totally the trickle effect, right? So like,
and I don't know if I'd be able to do that if it wasn't life or death. I don't know if I would have been pushed to be that person. So I'm really glad.
That is freaking cool. That is really freaking cool. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize it, that if you start advocating for yourself in one area of your life, it starts to have an effect on other domains, right? So like, as you feel that sort of sense of empowerment, that sense of being able to advocate for yourself, you'll be doing it in like work, you'll be doing it with your health, you'll be doing it in areas that you didn't ever think you would be doing it. And as you start expanding, that's where your joy capacity starts growing. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. So guess what, Home Slice? We just went through almost a freaking hour together.
That was so fast.
Right? Right? And Aimee only interrupted once by sleeping on the dog pillow. Aimee, you suck at MC. So I want to have you back. I mean, you guys are my neighbors, so we need to like see each other soon at some point.
Yes, we do. We can have a Disney trip.
I would say let's have a Disney trip. Let's totally have a Disney trip.
No, for real.
I want to have a Disney trip. I haven't been to the new Harry Potter world, if you guys like all that stuff.
Yes,
like,
I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd. Oh, of course.
Okay, so maybe let's do a Harry Potter trip pretty soon.
Let's do a Harry Potter trip.
So anyone who wants to go on our Harry Potter trip, go to aimeetariq.com. But Aimee, what else are we going to see if we go to your site?
Yes, so it talks about where to buy my book. It talks about how to contact me and those sort of things. And soon I'll have courses up there. And I have an upcoming book that's coming up with the #1 bioregulatory dentist in the world. And I'm really excited about that. It's going to be like in 35,000 bookstores. So that'll be up on that site eventually once that's all through. So I'm excited.
Okay. So stay in touch. AimeeTariq.com. AimeeTariq.com. Aimee, you are just a freaking.
Thank you.
And you know what? It stops us from truly living not only the career step, but our life steps that we want to move forward. You know, think about how it impacts us in relationships, parenting, work, everything. It starts with health. So there's a reason your book is #1. So go and pick it up from the site. Keep in touch with Aimee. Aimee, this is why it's called the Golden Mic. Your husband dropped it. I expect you to do the same thing. A golden mic is now descending from your ceiling over there in Orlando, Florida, and it's coming to rest. Grab it! and it's coming to rest right in front of you. Now, for 2 minutes or less, Aimee, that golden mic translates into every language all across the world. The entire world is listening and waiting for what it is that you are about to tell them. So when I hit the switch, Aimee Tariq, your golden mic is live. So Aimee, your golden mic goes live right now.
You are deserving of love, especially your own love, and you are deserving of a life free from pain and illness, and only you can take those steps towards love and healing. No one else can do that journey for you. That journey is yours. So I want you to take those steps.
Lift that golden mic up over there in Orlando, Florida. Now I want you to drop that golden mic like it's hot and watch it explode. Watch all the shards go over. Aimee, your dog bed's broken. Eric, you are a badass bitch and I love you. I
Oh,
love
I
you.
love
You
you
are
too, Mark.
awesome. You are awesome. I can't wait to see you again, whether it be in Orlando. Are you guys going up to New York for Unfair Advantage?
I don't know if it's. I don't think it. I don't know. But we are
You
going
guys are
to New
such
York.
you guys are such world travelers. If I don't see you
Yes.
in New York, maybe in November we can do something.
Yeah.
Because I've got something planned in November to go to Orlando, and maybe we can do something, and
Awesome.
we can have a
Yes.
nice little double date over there or
That
something.
would
You
be
know.
so fun.
So thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
AimeeTariq.com is where you want to go. Aimee, have a good one. And here's the question that I have for everyone still watching and live or on the replay, and it's this: if you're feeling good and you're functioning to your full purpose, what is your responsibility to change history for the better? This has been Golden Mike number 85. My girl Aimee from Florida. I'm Mark from Florida. Take care. Have a good one.